Okay, so my book is The Book Thief, and so the thing I kind of focused on was the importance of words in the actual book. So first, just a little bit background. When the book opens up, it's 1939, so Hitler is in power and the Nazis are basically controlling everything. The main character is Liesel. The beginning of the book is, the whole book for her is kind of a sad, it's just really sad for her. So the first scene is Liesel's mother sending her and her brother away because her mom is actually a communist, or like supports the Communist Party. And her father had already been killed, but she doesn't figure that out until later into the book. So she sends her and her brother away, but on the way to the new family, her brother passes away. And so something interesting about this book is actually that Death is the narrator. So this is the first time that Death, the narrator, sees Liesel. And this is also when she steals her first book, hence the name The Book Thief. So the book is just a gravedigger book. She can't read when she steals it, but she later becomes really symbolic for her because it reminds her of her brother. So she gets there, she goes to the Hubermans. The dad's name is Hans and the mother's name is Rosa. So Hans does not support Hitler, so this is actually in Germany, so everybody supports him and there's no like going against him. You can't speak against him, also going with the importance of words. So he's actually hiding a Jewish fist fighter, Max, in the basement, and so he and Liesel kind of, I don't want to say fall in love, but they definitely have like a romance friendship thing going on. So Hans teaches Liesel how to read, kind of opening up the doors for her for the rest of the book to read and kind of dive into this idea that words can be an escape from reality, especially when her reality is so terrible. So Max actually writes a book on, like, he paints the book, the autobiography of Hitler that all of the people have. He paints it white, so that way he can write her a book, Liesel a book. And then throughout the film, she continues to steal books, and she actually steals books from the mayor and his wife, but she thinks they don't know, but the wife actually does, and like starts to leave books for her, and then eventually gives her paper so she can write her own story. So with the importance of words, I focused on the characters and how each of them have a different relationship with words. So Liesel, she steals the Gravedigger book, which kind of opens the doors for her learning how to read. And reading becomes an escape for her because at this time she kind of sees how Hitler uses his words to control the masses and have everybody, how propaganda was used. And so at this time too, there are air raids going on, so it's like a really like dangerous time for her. Hitler starts having the Nazis and march the Jewish people through the town before they're going to the camps. So she basically, when they're going through, all you see is basically skeletons, and the way that she describes it in the book kind of, it makes it really sickly. You feel like you're there and you can see these people. So she steals books as an escape, definitely, because of the terrible situation that's going on in the area. It also helps calm others. So she reads out loud. So there's an air raid going on, and she reads out loud to all these children and the adults that are actually staying in her basement while there are basically bombs going off outside. And so it kind of detaches her from the chaos around. So then she uses words as the escape that she can't have anywhere else. So since she steals the book, it kind of shows the importance of words in that way, because you don't steal something just for kicks. She risks her life to steal books. She steals one out of the fire when they're burning books for Hitler's birthday. And if she was caught, she would definitely be killed or sent away to camp. So it's definitely important. So Max, so this is the one who's hiding in the basement. He is the Jewish fist fighter. And so his major thing is that he paints over the words of Hitler in the autobiography. So he's kind of showing that, yes, Hitler has all this power and stuff, but like by painting over it, he can kind of change his words and kind of show that they're not as significant as others think. He also uses the book to kind of survive because he quotes things from the book to other people so that way they won't be suspicious of him. And so later in the book, Hans gives a piece of bread to a Jewish man who is going to the concentration camp. This arouses suspicion, and Max has to leave. So basically he goes out and sits on the front porch waiting for the Nazis to come through and pick him up because he'll be sent away to concentration camp. So he disappears, and Liesl doesn't see him, so Liesl was basically in love with him, and both of them were really important. So actually, him painting over the words was for her, to give her the book that he was writing about her and the family and their relationship while he's living in the basement. And then he also gets, before he leaves, before he sits on the porch, he gets sick, and Liesl has to take care of him. And she like reads to him like every day, just kind of trying to keep him alive, and it's kind of like the words keep him alive while he's sick and kind of struggling. He's going in and out of consciousness, he's probably going to die, so she reads to him just to kind of provide an escape for him as well as her. And then Death, so since Death is the narrator, you kind of see a different side of him than what you would normally think. So this is actually one of his quotes right here. The whole point of the book for him, from his point of view, is kind of finding the hope in humanity. He's confused on how humanity can have all this good, yet all this evil. He sees the worst and the best sides of humans. War is the perfect background for him because there's so much death going on around him that he's constantly there, and so he sees Liesl throughout the book. And it's also kind of a love story to her too, like the book. He falls in love with her because she's just pure and she doesn't have anything. She's just kind of in this poor situation. And he's like, again, he struggles with humanity. And he doesn't understand how they can have so much good yet so much evil in the same race, and kind of the conflict between the two. And so Death just wants to love humans and stuff, but he's Death, and you're gonna meet him one day, and that's kind of his thing, is everybody's gonna die one day, so you might as well like embrace it and all that stuff. So, and then finally Hitler. So this is the kind of the use of the propaganda. Liesl kind of figures out like how he's using his words, and like he is described in the book as like a small man. Like he doesn't really have anything going for him like physically, but he has the power of words. He can manipulate them and kind of make you think what he wants you to think. There's actually a quote in the book that talks about how Hitler said he would never have to raise a gun. All he has to do is raise his words. So kind of speaking to the importance of words for him, he uses that to control the nation, control all the people, get them to do things that they probably would not have normally done, but he just has the power of manipulation to kind of manipulate the words, and without words he would be nothing. And so finally, this is the quote from Liesl. This is her last line in the book. I've hated words and have loved them, and I hope I have made them all right. So the book, so towards the end, or the very last part of this section, she's writing in the basement, and there's basically a bomb goes off outside and kills the entire neighborhood except for her, and she's in the basement. And so when evacuators come, she's the only one left in the whole town. And she was writing her book, and she had just finished it. So Death actually goes and picks up the book and holds on to it until he meets her again when she's older, and it's come her time. So just kind of speaking to that, like the importance of her words, Death found it so important that he kept it for her for years and years and years. And kind of speaking again to the love story that Death has with Liesl, he was constantly reminded of her by keeping this book with him. So yeah, that's it.